Hello viewers, it's been a long time. I wanted to make an update video for you that is especially about my very recent trip to Europe, which was just less than a month ago, in June. It was so awesome. I had some interesting gender slash bathroom experiences to tell you about. I thought that might be interesting. And then also just some general stuff that I wanted to show you just for fun, because I was just so excited about this trip to Europe. It was so cool, so exciting. I learned so much. It really did give me a new perspective about Europe, because that was my first time being in a non-English speaking country, actually. I'd been to Great Britain a couple of times in previous years, but this was my first time to a non-English speaking country. We went to the Netherlands, which I loved. I really want to spend a lot more time in the Netherlands in the future. And we went to Germany, Austria, and Switzerland. It was great. I went with my mom, actually, which was a special thing. My wife is like a doctor in training, so she won't be able to get like enough time off of work to go on a trip like that for, I don't know, a couple of years or something. So I thought, well, I'll just use this chance to have a special trip with my mom. So we went to the Netherlands on our own, and then we joined up with a tour group in Germany for Germany, Austria, and Switzerland. It was a good tour group. We had a good experience. It was fun. So, just some examples of, I guess you could say, stuff from the trip. So I'm really into beer. I'm a huge beer fan and beer connoisseur. So one of my things is that I collected coasters. Check that out. That's quite a bit. And I got so many that I was like, I can't use all these around the house. I mean, that would be kind of impossible. I already have a lot of collected coasters around the house that I've gotten from places here at home. So I thought, oh, I'll have to do like an art project with it, like put them all in a frame, much to my wife's dismay. But I do want to do that. And my brother gave me the idea of putting a frame of coasters in the kitchen. Like, that's kind of appropriate, because I had thought that it would have to be relegated to our spare room, which is kind of the, where my non-acceptable decorations go in exile, like my big old California flag. I guess that's not acceptable to have in the living room as a adult married person. So anyway, yeah. Is that? Yeah. Oh, I love beer. I love coasters. That's from the Hofbrauhaus in Munich. Very famous, like where you get 1 liter glasses of beer and gigantic pretzels and everything, and the waitresses are wearing dirndls and carry like 20 mugs of beer at a time. I didn't have a full liter. I wanted to. I thought that would be a cool experience. But when I saw the liters of beer in person, I was like, that's just not gonna happen. No. Like, it was a bucket, basically. Like, I can't, no. I could only have that if I was there in the evening. I mean, we were there for lunch. I could only have a liter of beer if I was there for the evening and kind of like wanted to get drunk. But in the daytime, no, not gonna happen. So anyway, that was fun. And then I did an art journal kind of thing, where I did kind of a scrapbook, but also made an account of my experiences. My mom did the same kind of thing, so we would do this together, which was kind of fun. Like, here you can see stuff I cut out of a newspaper. This was in the Netherlands. There was all this stuff going on for the Euro soccer championships, which I didn't even know about before. Like, when we were in the Netherlands, because that was our first stop, there's all this orange everywhere, and I was like, what is the deal with that? What, do they always have that, or is this a special thing? and it was a special thing for the Euro Championships, which we gradually found out. And yeah, here's another little sample. Switzerland. So mind-boggling, crazy. Switzerland was awesome because I'm very outdoorsy and I love hiking and mountains, so so amazing. Anyway, getting more to the point of my usual subject, gender, that it was kind of interesting. So before I went on the trip, I was wondering, like, what if things will be totally different in Europe than here? Like, will people always mistake me for a guy like they do here, or not? So I was curious to see how it would go. And in general, it did turn out to be quite similar, if not the exact same, as being here in America. So I'll kind of do this chronologically. In the Netherlands, I didn't really have any, like, bathroom stories, because I think we tended to be in, I don't know, like, places that were not huge or not super touristy necessarily, so a lot of the public bathrooms that I used were like in restaurants and stuff, which tends to not be a huge deal. Yeah, so that wasn't very remarkable. But in the Netherlands, I saw a ton of lesbian couples walking around, which was cool. Like, a ton. Probably because the Netherlands has that reputation as being very liberal and gay-friendly, which is cool. And then, let's see, in Germany, I had some bathroom experiences, so to speak. We used some larger restrooms there because then we were with the tour group, so we'd be on our bus, we'd stop at the big highway rest stops, or I should say Autobahn rest stops, where there were a lot of people, places like that. So I always used the women's restrooms on this trip because when we were with the tour group for 2 weeks, I couldn't use the men's restrooms. I couldn't just like slip in and secretly use the men's restroom because there would be men from our group in there, and that would be really awkward because they knew that I'm not a man. So I just used the women's, and there were probably maybe I want to say 3 times when I used the restroom when I had issues, and this was when I was not in there with a bunch of other people from our group, because when I was in the bathroom with a bunch of other people from our group, they knew me, and with the crowd and everything, I didn't really get any flack from anybody else, which was nice. But then there were a few times when I did end up in the bathroom without the group, and on one occasion I was in there like entering, or I forget, washing my hands or something, and 1 or 2 German women came in, and so here's when I'm especially glad that I do know some German. So on this occasion and another occasion, these women said kind of the same thing, which was something like, aber das ist für Damen, or something like that, but this is for women. So on one occasion, I kind of looked at the lady and I was like, ja, ich weiß. Like, yes, I know. So she was like, and said something, I forget what, but then it was okay from then on. And another person said that same kind of thing in another situation, and then I just was like, yeah. Like, yeah, I get it. And so that was interesting. I mean, it was not a huge deal. I mean, I'm used to that. It always kind of sucks, but so actually the interesting thing was I felt a little bit more assertive over there than I do here. I felt less intimidated and less scared of saying something back to these people than I do at home which I found a little, unexpected. And I'm not sure if it was because of the language, if for some reason it seemed less threatening to me, if these women were saying something to me in German, if that made it seem more like distanced, like if I felt more detached or something because it was in German. I don't know. Or I don't know if it's just a new thing, like if I will from now on, or if just something has happened in my brain in the last few months and now I'll feel more assertive here in those bathroom situations. I don't know. It'll be interesting to see, but it was funny dealing with that in German. Yeah, it was funny. And, well, in general, it was fun to speak German. I really liked it. I had so much fun speaking German. I didn't speak that much. I'm not on that many occasions, but, I go into shops, ask questions of the shopkeepers. It was fun. I really enjoyed it. Like, it's a cool experience speaking another language when you're in another country. And I'm not fluent in German by any means, but it was fun to speak what I could. Oh yeah, and this is another... Well, okay, so before I tell you about this kind of funny story where we talked to a couple of old German ladies, just before that, relating to just the gender thing in general in Germany, I noticed that in Germany, a lot of women of all ages had very short hair, more so than in the US. So that was interesting. So I was like, well, maybe that, coupled with the fact that a lot of the women, like, they didn't have on a ton of makeup, maybe that was it, but like, a lot of them looked a little bit more androgynous than what you often see in the US. Not all of them, but more than in the US. So I was like, oh, well, maybe that'll mean that people won't mistake me for a man as much. But that's not how it happened. Anyway, so there's this funny story. We were in Munich, and my mom and I were having a beer in the afternoon in this, like, sort of like terrace beer garden type of place. And all the tables were full. So in Europe, when that happens, people sit at your table if there are empty chairs. So we had 2 empty chairs at our table. So these 2 old German ladies who lived there came and sat with us. They asked if they could, and then they sat down, and they could tell that we were not native German speakers. So I think the conversation started by them asking, like, oh, where are you from, or something like that. And we just gradually got into this conversation, well, such as it was when they didn't speak English and we are not fluent in German, although my mom and I both speak some German. So it was funny. They were very sweet. We kind of stumbled along through the conversation, and they, a lot of people in Germany, much more so than in America, like, assumed that my mom would be with her husband. Like, people said, like, oh, where's your husband? Or if we went to a restaurant, oh, are you going to wait for your husband? Or something like that. And nobody ever asked that in the U.S. And my dad died a really long time ago. So these women said something like that to my mom, and we tried to explain that he had died. And then they were like, oh, that's so awful, in German. And they are both widows, and it was really cute. They had little pictures in their wallets of their late husbands. So they got those out and showed them to us. It was very sweet. They were very nice. And how this relates to gender is that at one point, the one who was sitting next to my mom said something to her about me, and called me a boy, like said something about, oh, the Jungen, or is that how they say it? Jungen? I think, like, boy. And then she he'd me by saying which means he. So that was funny, noticing that in German. But anyway, they were very sweet ladies, and it was just funny. So, yeah. I guess that's... oh yeah, then one other thing. So, like, there are all these people heeing me, of course. But then in Salzburg, we went to this Mozart dinner where we got this multi-course dinner. We heard Mozart music being played by people in 18th century outfits, which was fun. And I had to go looking for the bathroom. I had to use the bathroom. And I looked all over. I had to ask a couple of people where it was. And then this man who worked there was like a waiter or something. I asked him, and he led me to the bathroom. And he was like, "Oh, here." And he like basically opened the door of the women's bathroom for me. And all this time, I mean, on this occasion I was wearing a collared shirt, so I thought for sure on this occasion I would use the men's restroom to avoid trouble. But then, what do you know? You never know how people are gonna see you. So then I was like, well, if he is telling me to go to the women's restroom, I guess I will. So that was just funny. You know, this contrast between the way that different people view me is always interesting. Yeah. So there you go. That's the report. Sorry the video is so long, but hopefully if you're still watching you found it interesting. So thank you to people who comment. Thank you to subscribers. Thank you for your support. I hope you're doing well. All right, that's it for now. Bye.